Good evening. The Design Review Board 2 public meeting of May 20th, 2010 is called to order. Please refrain from talking amongst yourselves during the meeting, and please turn off or put on vibrate all cell phones and pagers. If you need to talk, please leave the meeting room. Anyone who wishes to speak, including applicants, is asked to completely fill out one of the speaker's cards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff. You will be called to present a case or speak on a specific item as desired. Anyone who wishes to be re-noticed about a project must completely fill out one of the postcards provided at the table by the front door and submit it to staff to receive notice of subsequent meetings. Current DRB agendas are available by calling our DRB hotline at 818-548-3171 or by visiting our website at www.ci.glendale.ca.us. A handout describing the procedures of the meeting, possible board decisions, and DRB reconsideration and appeals is available at the table by the front door. Please note that appeals must be filed within 15 calendar days of the DRB decision date. The chairperson may reorder agenda items at their discretion. Roll call. Mr. Baladian?
Here.
Mr. Gergos?
Here.
Mr. Malikian?
Here.
Ms. Sakai?
Here.
Mr. Zerwithian?
Here.
Report regarding the posting of the agenda. The agenda for this meeting was posted on the bulletin board outside City Hall at or before 5 p.m. on May 13, 2010. Oral communications. Are there any cards?
I don't see any.
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on an item not a part of this agenda? Nope. Seeing none, we'll begin with our review calendar. Staff does have one announcement, and that is your first item at 3325 Encinal. That's 2-PDR 2010-002-A is being taken off calendar. So there is nothing on the consent calendar, and then we'll start with the regular Design Review Board cases.
Very good. Thank you very much. We're going to start with 2 PDR 2009-083-A, 1133 South Central Avenue.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Design Review Board. The next case item before you is case number 2-PDR-2009-083-A, located at 1133 South Central Avenue. This is a first-time submittal for final review. If I may orient the board, these are the plans, starting with the site plan, floor plan, landscape plan, roof plan, perspective with elevations, and then black and white drawings showing all elevations. The facade changes include refining the front entry and new use of updated contemporary design features and materials. The project does not involve new floor area. Interior modifications are being proposed to the existing floor plan in order to accommodate the proposed medical and general offices. In regards to site planning, a new landscape plan has been provided. The applicant proposes a variety of shrubs and accent plants, such as the butterfly iris. A total of 4 Brisbane box trees will be planted along the rear property line abutting the 3-story apartment building. The proposed plant selection is designed to accentuate the contemporary architectural character of the building to provide a good landscape bumper. New planters will be incorporated at the front facade as indicated on the front elevation. In regards to mass and scale, the proposed renovation is a contemporary design compatible with the surrounding developments. The project features good quality materials and details which provides consistency with the proposed building design. Overall, the design and materials serve to enhance the project and the neighborhood. On to design and detailing. In summary, the proposed renovated contemporary design is compatible with the surrounding developments. The project features good quality materials which provide consistency throughout the building. Staff recommends approval with 2 conditions. I may find those conditions. The first condition is providing an appropriate screening for the trash areas and mechanical screens on the rooftop. Now, a side note, this particular building has a domed-shaped rooftop, and I've been informed by the applicant that no mechanical equipment will be placed on that. So I did not know that at the time of the report. but just as a note to the applicants that we are requesting that the applicant screen the mechanical equipment in a fashion that is complementary to the proposed architecture. The second condition is that they modify the proposed front entry to better integrate into the front building facade, as indicated here on this photo. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can you elaborate on the condition number 2? What do you guys...
Staff felt that the applicant, well, actually, the staff met with the applicant a couple of times regarding before this was brought to you. We struggled in the entrance area. We felt that this was something that we could support overall, but as an entrance piece, we felt that this could add a little bit more attention to that. The applicant will be able to address his design theory when for you.
One more. That the metal fascia, I mean, is it existing or they're replacing?
The corrugated metal is existing on the building right now. It will be painted, and the applicant will incorporate a matching corrugated metal throughout the building on the bottom half as shown here. But
They're
this top
keeping-
feature is
Existing.
will be painted as well. That brings up another point that I want to mention to the board. The signage is not a part of this design application. Separate permits will be pulled for the signage applications later.
Mr. Rose, can I ask a question?
Yes, are you done?
I have one more question.
Any questions for staff?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Do we have a back elevation?
We have, yes, this is the rear
No
elevation.
color?
No color. No.
Hard to read the back, but
I think what I just realized is that last panel is actually a side panel that's enclosing that common area.
there's a column, but I don't know, it looks like the Roman.
That's actually a fence.
The last bay.
The last bay is that
It's a covered
solar
area.
panel.
What they're doing is, from my understanding, I think the architect needs to come up, but I think what they're doing is they're building this. The extension of this, it goes right
on
in
that.
there.
Yeah.
It's kind of covering what's going on there. That's why it was nice to see what they're...
But that's like a covered area. And
The
they're
solar panel.
There's solar panels
common
that are
open
proposed.
area. So
Right.
common open area, it's a covered area.
covered area.
And, okay. And they haven't said where they're gonna put those, they're gonna have a lot of air conditioning.
AC units are
Where?
we're showing them.
AC units. Oh, they're putting-
There's a couple here, but there was just no indication of how the design of that enclosure would match the proposed design.
Solar panel to the end of this.
Yes, it should have.
Actually, it comes up to the columns right at the edge of it.
They're proposing to put trees underneath the solar panels?
No, it's-
Because that's not in our package. The revised landscape plan, we don't have.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, no.
There's space.
The planters here and the solar panels come here. We can talk to the architect about that.
They're gonna go on a rooftop and then.
Any other questions for staff?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
I don't think so that the AC unit's gonna fly there.
I have one card with no name. Who would like to come up and speak? No problem. State your name and address, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, board members, city staff. My name is Bartan Jangosian, 1224 East Broadway, Suite 202, Glendale, 91205. Already, Gabriel Reza presented the project. I guess I have not much to add on that one. Only I like to ask and add something about the trash enclosure and AC unit enclosure. We did provide it, and it's next to the parking lot.
Do you have a drawing that shows the enclosure, though? How you're covering the AC units?
AC units
Do you have a drawing for
from
that?
the site. Yeah, no, actually no. not detailed, but it's shown.
But
There
it's
is a
not on the
fence.
roof, it's on ground.
It's on the ground, so you'd have to put
Yes,
something
yeah,
there.
there is a fence around AC units.
It's just a line.
It's just a single line, but we
don't
could
think so.
specify something for that, right?
Oh, okay, I mean, that's,
It doesn't appear to be anything specified.
we'll do that.
Okay.
And actually, this building was a mechanic shop, and very early construction, I believe around 1930s or 40s. And after then, this building was retrofit for earthquake. And for that purpose, they used that corrugated metal upper portion of the facade to cover that retrofit details. And during the design, I tried to stick with that element because it's a major work to do to changing that. And I tried to work with that corrugated metal.
Did you have any opinion on how that entry canopy could be done differently? Do you
Pardon me?
have any thoughts about the entry canopy? How it might be done differently?
Be honestly, that entrance canopy was different design too, so I closely work, and Gabriel Reza and Stephanie too, and sometimes become some kind of square solution, but I presented several, approaches for that entry. But again, if something is doesn't satisfy, we'll work out differently.
The only other item that Mrs. Tai had, I think was a good point, you have a planter that's under the solar panels and you're showing trees there. Are you actually pulling the panels back slightly for that?
That entry part?
In the back.
Yeah.
I think we're shifting gears.
May I show you? Airport?
Yes, please.
I have a question about this area back here. How far out your solar panel roof goes?
Okay. I believe you should have a photo or pictures about that rear portion. There was a heavy metal framing.
I don't have anything. I don't get one.
You have trees where you have the panel, the roof.
Yeah, it's going to be more bushes, and over there it's open. We have a metal frame. The purpose was they use for maybe hanging engine and that type of thing. And we're trying to use that metal, putting some solar system and energy sufficiency too. And plus, because I was working with the zoning and planning very closely, they asked to add some more landscaping and some more trees. In that portion, we're not going to put any solar system, so...
In that one section,
Yes,
okay.
yeah.
Well, the one thing I have a concern besides all these things, maybe you might answer. Have you talked to a mechanical engineer? Because the only, what I'm getting at to, I have a feeling you might come back because those units for distribution for all those rooms, you're gonna have a ducting system. I don't know how it's gonna work for those 4 units. How are you gonna?
It's going to be split system.
Yeah, but,
Condensers is going to be outside, and the teeny pipe is going to heat pump units. So that heat pump units, we have plenty space here. We have after our ceiling, we have another 10 foot, that roof attic area, so they can work out putting split at the heat pumps and a piping
So
system.
within the,
Yeah, the fan is up in the attic.
Do you have any additional equipment for the solar panel?
Pardon me?
Any additional equipment for the solar panel system that you're putting on the property?
That
Or is that going to be in the roof attic crawl space area?
that solar panels is going to be a rear portion.
The electric panel.
Where we have a metal framing. And we put over the metal
panel, not
framing,
water.
so underneath of solar panels are open. It's a very good practice. Have you been in LA Convention Center? The parking lot, it's done
It just goes right
the
into
same way. Yeah, it's a solar system. It's making shade and beautiful looking too.
It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It essentially goes to a power panel, so
Okay.
large power panel. It's not a water
And
system.
then all your planters in the back, are these low planters or are these raised planters back here?
We have a fences here?
So this is a low planter? Like
Yes.
On the ground?
Yes. Low planters and plus trees, minimum 24-inch box trees.
but those trees, they're not gonna be interfered with the solar.
Yeah, these
I
probably.
mean, I don't know
Those-
the way you should
Yeah.
have.
We have an opportunity, that portion It's not going to be really a high trees. It's going to be very small type of trees. We don't want to put anything to make a shade for the solar panels.
I don't know.
I think
The
you're-
landscape architecture is
So
there.
we can reconsider that. Yeah.
Well, then do you really need them if you're going to have the shade? You're saying that the structure ends at this line.
I
right?
don't believe these trees and bushes is going to be growing more than 9 feet or 10 feet to
Get to 20.
interfere with that.
But I mean, you can take them out.
Yeah.
You had a planter over here in the old
Yes,
version.
there is
now. Is that
existing
because-
one.
Is that because of the parking? Did you have to take that away?
No, there is existing fence right now.
Planter.
And, yeah, and plus we're making nice finishes to just match the building character.
So what we have is not current. That's
This is.
we're not gonna look at that.
I'm just
not
not realizing that yes, the packets not have, there's a couple more trees on this.
that the entire landscaping along with that parking lot.
The one on
That one or this one?
This one is this
That one is correct.
This one is correct.
Okay.
And then your color board.
Oh, no, I sent it to you too, so look at.
Yeah, let's get it all together. We have other questions for architect?
This sample board, you have an exterior accent wall finish. This color? Is that going to be?
No, this is to, we provide two varieties. So this is the one I presented.
I see. And then you're
I
saying
had
as an
two
alternative,
versions,
do
but
this.
before submittal, we come up to submit, actually to go with this one.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman? I have
Yes,
a couple
please.
of questions.
Yes.
Okay. The back, I'll talk about the front, but question, the back door. Let me show you this one.
This one?
This one. That's substantially higher, that you're keeping that door. Are you regrading that area? Or you-
Actually, we, for now, because of that portion, we didn't make any tenant improvement yet. Maybe we're not gonna even open that. So that portion, if you see, it's only shield.
Yeah, I'm not.
So we
yeah,
don't know yet what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
So later, if they like to have something, we can make a ramp just like that one. So we have a room to do that.
Yeah, because they're part of them, because I see you put in the exit, I mean, not for me.
Now
It's not
my
occupied.
my couple other questions. I'm trying to understand your south elevation.
Okay.
The existing windows, you are going to be opening them up within the same location. You're just enlarging them with those three casement windows or whatever they are.
There is two windows
Whatever
is
what,
there.
the windows that are there are
Yeah.
somewhat smaller than what
Right,
you
so
have.
we will cut and make a proportionally, working with the same character we have on the front elevation.
Now, my question to you is that I understand that you're keeping the siding. Canopy that you're putting on, my understanding, and that's more of a public works question, the clearance that you need to encroach into the sidewalk, have you checked on that?
Yes.
What is that?
It's only 2 foot 6 inches is coming forward, and plus, if it's higher than 8 foot with the fire code and a public work too,
So if you're above 8 foot, you can come out.
I think so.
Okay. So my question to you is that if you have the opportunity to do something that is projecting out from the property line as a canopy, I think to go with what you're proposing, I think it would be there's going to be a lot more involved structures that are going to required to support that, rather than just a simple piece of glass that comes out, no bracing, no nothing. So I'm afraid that once you're done with that, it may actually become a lot heavier than what it is.
Actually, we are willing to do major structural work because if you see the picture, the opening is from here to here. It's a one opening. And I don't think building is safe. Anyway, when we do this job, we will do major structural
So the
reinforcement.
above the canopy that you have right now, that stays what it is, which which that, what you're showing is you're maintaining what's there. And then you're adding additional support.
Right.
And the opening and those pilasters that you have, they actually have columns. Okay, so
Anyway, we will provide some heavy, beams here.
now, I mean, was there a specific reason for that glass? Can we suggest some other options? Is there a specific, unique
I can make different-
look that the medical office was looking for? Or, I mean, I think there's definitely better opportunities there to
I can
work.
make it just simple canopy without any glass too, so,
Okay.
like I told you, we were.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the architect? Okay, anybody else want to speak on this topic? We'll close the public hearing, and who wants to start?
I'll start.
Okay, go.
I'm for the project. I agree with the staff report and with the conditions, and few comments. The canopy above the entrance, I probably feel that I don't think it's working. I think probably something simpler, more solid, I think will work better. And also, I have a concern about the proposed lower level corrugated metal that you have you're proposing below the windows where the planters, like the planters. I think within time it's going to get beaten up, people hitting, and then it's going to bend. I think within time it's not going to look right. It's going to be all messed up. And you're going to be fixing, people walking by, they're going to hit it. I don't think it's safer to have it framed out, stucco with the same color, something more solid, or propose something stone, simpler. But I don't think the corrugated metal will work at that level. It's going to get beaten up. I wish you had the back elevation in color. I mean, we would have better understanding, but now that you explained, we know what you're doing. But again, go over with the landscaping, I guess. April will go over with the landscape, make sure those trees doesn't interfere with the solar and the structure and all that. I still think that the AC units, you need to, I think you spend with your mechanic engineer. I don't know if that's the best, if it's going to work out or not, but that's not my thing to say. But otherwise, I'm for it. I wish you guys propose something different for that existing corrugated upper portion, like a screen, something different. You're going all this extensive structural work design. I wish you had that, make it a cleaner corner. Probably would have looked much nicer, more contemporary. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. Next. Who'd like to go?
I can. I think generally the project seems fine. I agree with. I had the same comment about the planters. It seems like something that's a finer material that belongs to the upper levels of the project. Sort of found its way down to the ground, and it won't probably survive, as Chair Member Boladian was saying. So I think it needs something that's more like ground-like, heavier material that can sustain, abuse and water damage. Probably will be the first one to hit it. So and also I think the canopy, you have added all these kind of the pilasters to the front facade, but it seems like the canopy doesn't make use of them. Kind of, it seems like it wants to connect to those columns somehow. It kind of feels like, even if you change it, I would suggest that you make use of those columns, that somehow the canopy becomes part of the module of the building. So it looks like it's hanging from the building. Other than that, I think I agree if you can do something to that corrugated metal somehow, although it's a medical office building, it still kind of reminds you of a mechanical shop because of that big canopy. It just I guess you have associate that kind of a canopy or that kind of a fascia with so many mechanical shops that it just you can't get out of your mind, I guess. So if you could do something to make it more gentle, it seems like it's very heavy on top of these columns. That would be my suggestion, and I think those 2 trees on the back side probably won't work with the solar paneling. So as you said, probably they should come out. And I think generally those are my comments. Other than that, I approve the project.
Okay, thank you. Take a look.
I too approve the project. I have a couple of thoughts and may help kind of direct the overall the look, the scheme of that. I'm always fond of exposing structure and not covering it if possible. So if you're telling us that you're going to actually add a structure to support this large opening, I think it will be a great opportunity there that structure becomes the breaking line that you're trying to create with the beige band. So maybe that steel structure that you're putting in that extends on, that becomes the exposed band that you're looking for, and from there the canopy can be attached to, and that canopy becomes part of the module system where Mr. Zerifian was talking about. So I think that's definitely a detail that can be worked out. I think there's definitely opportunities there. I think the glass canopy in the front, as it's been noticed, it's just an attachment. I think just completely removing it is not. It's going to actually help the project rather than keeping it there. So if I have the choice of removing it and keeping it, I would probably say remove it because it will look much better. I think it will be a lot cleaner. The less expense of supporting such a glass canopy. But I think there's definitely a nice opportunity there to incorporate that steel frame system that it's there, use the columns as carrying that out, and maybe even extend the canopy over the top and breaking that long piece of band. Maybe even a canvas or even a canvas canopy or something, or a steel canopy or something there that kind of carries up in an angle way, or something that comes out 2 foot and it goes back in and kind of cuts that entire band into 2 halves, or something there that kind of works with kind of softening the top piece rather than just having this little attachment there. As far as the planter boxes, I agree. I think as a choice, I would suggest just do a pour-in-place concrete planter boxes and just let that be a exposed concrete planter box covering that, and the color, the gray, would definitely go with the, leave it as gray, and you'll go with the color scheme that you proposed. Also, I would suggest, if you have the opportunity, this little piece, the rendering is drawn properly, but the elevation is not. So this is actually how it looks right now, and you kept it there. So if there's an opportunity that if you're going to do some metal work, maybe you want to bring this back a little bit to create a little bit of a volume at this top piece. Kind of give it a reason for it to break rather than just, piece of flat plane there. This is not drawn correctly. This is drawn correct. Other than that, I think this piece wants to be, rather than this, wants to be that big, and maybe even going up over, maybe in line with this, or even going on top and kind of carrying it over or something there, cut out the numbers, whatever it is. So I think there's definitely there something there to work out. As far as the back door, yeah, I just noticed, I brought it up. You leave it open, leave it there, but I think there's a hazard there. So if you're
We'll add a
going
piece
to
of
keep
that.
the door there, you want to make sure that it is a hazard situation. As far as putting landscaping under the canopy, I agree. It just doesn't make sense. Having a large landscaping. I think it's a good idea. I'm not sure how successful it's going to be with the solar energy, and I don't know if you had a consultant look into that, but I think it's a great idea. The size and the amount of electricity needed to generate the energy for the building, I don't know if it's big enough, if it's in the right orientation, and so on and so forth. So it may be that you want to get a consultant, have them look at it before you go ahead and commit yourself to the board and the city that you're going to be putting in, but by the time you're done with it, it may not even be useful to you. It may not even accommodate the electricity that you want. Other than that, I think it's fine, so I have no problem.
Okay.
Mr. Malekian, can you repeat or explain what you meant by the roof break when you were referring to the drawing? I got lost a little bit.
Well, what I was trying to say was, Irving was concerned, and I think Mr. Balajian is as well, that this is a large band of canopy as it is right now. So this thing is sitting there as just floating there. So if I just remove it, it's not going to do anything. So I was thinking, they already have this band going across, and they're saying that they're going to put a steel frame there. So why not expose that steel frame, let that be the structure that is dividing between the base and the top, and then wherever these columns are, this canopy kind of grows and gets part of those columns. It becomes a significant part. And maybe this canopy actually comes up, either comes in line with this or even goes over and cuts this whole thing into two halves.
And
so
then around.
and around the corner, see how this little piece of wall sticking out? This is how it is right now. The side elevation is not drawn properly. It comes up all the way on the top. This looks funny. So I was just saying, if it's possible, just go ahead, and I know they're not doing any structural works, and say if it's possible, it would be nice to have this kind of extend back maybe a couple of feet to kind of give it a volume, give it some sort of a presence.
They're gonna get that far corner, like, they
sorry?
should go all the way.
Was that?
If you're gonna do
You're just
that
sticking in the
corner,
one section.
make it all the way.
Okay. Mrs. Ty?
Yeah, and overall, I think it's a good project, and I applaud your efforts to introduce solar. I think that's also a nice touch to add to this. And your landscape plan was very detailed and complete. So a couple of questions, a couple of comments on the landscape. Obviously, we talked about the trees under the solar panels, and I think, because you have the shade from the panels and you do have enough trees, you have some trees in the back for screening, that we can pretty much eliminate those two trees in the planter area. I would like to see more shrubbery in that area to kind of block the parking from the common outdoor space where the people will be taking their breaks and milling about. So I think if we can get more of a mid-height shrub, something like a 4-foot kind of a shrub, which I don't see on your list right now. Maybe you could go with the flax or the butterfly iris just as a massing. That would work, and then take the trees away from that area. In general, the back area, I think where you have it, it's fine with the trees and the shrubs. My other comment would be on the front planters. The planting that you're suggesting would work, but it doesn't match your rendering, and I like the rendering better. So if there's some way you can go back to the rendering and pick those plants, put those plants on your plant list, I think that would be more successful. And also just make sure that you update your plan to reflect the elevation, which is showing the planters ending at the corner and not wrapping into the entry area. And I also agree with my colleagues about the condition of the metal on the planters in the front. That probably is not a good idea in terms of weathering. So I like the idea of concrete, just a concrete pour. I think it's a nice, clean, modern solution to your problem there. And again, the canopy, I think I had the same reaction to the canopy, so the suggestions that my colleagues have suggested are good ones, and we can go into that.
Okay, great, thank you. completely agree. The last of 5, not much left to say. And I'm in agreement with all those items. I would probably lean towards doing more of a warm tone on the concrete, just because I think you're using warmer tones in the colors you picked. I personally would like the canopy pulled out as an element. Even if it was shallow, I think it would help you. You have the doors there centered. It is the common doors for the whole building, so I think it might help if you had that one area, and if it spanned across to the columns, because I think the columns are nice. I think all that detailing on the front are nicely scaled. And if that upper canopy incorporated those columns, I think it would just really add a lot to that facade. So I think it was very well done. So if I can get a motion for somebody, actually, if we can go over conditions, or should we do a motion first?
Okay, we could start with a couple of conditions that I see. I do have a couple of questions because the roof form does seem to be an area of interest, but there's some conflicting areas of how the applicant should take direction on that. Perhaps if I can, whoever would like.
When you say roof form, what do you mean?
I'm sorry, the canopy entry. The canopy entry.
I think my suggestion was just the consideration is just, I think if I have a choice, I would just take it off, but if I want to put one back in, I would probably incorporate the columns and create a little bit more substantial rather than just a piece of glass, little, kind of a bay window type canopy. I would make that a little bit more substantial. I don't know about glass, I don't see the reason for them to use glass. I mean, I would probably incorporate canvas or even, maybe even metal or some sort of a solid element there rather
It could be metal again that works
It can
off
be
the metal.
metal.
But you don't
Absolutely.
even need the canopy because it's already the entrance, it's recessed in.
Yeah, I'm just
So there's
saying,
no-
We give them the option. We give the option.
I think they have the option. I think if they
Okay.
want to go with the canopy, I would probably make that wider. One.
cleaner.
I mean, I can come up with so many different.
Okay, we've heard a couple of thoughts, so if we can repeat back so that the applicant has a choice. The canopy could be removed, and if it's not removed from the design, it should be revised. As a condition of approval of a canopy, it seems there's agreement that it really must tie in with the columns or pilasters and be that same width of a bay. It could be simplified and be simply metal. It could express the structure that's being added. There seem to be a variety of options on the canopy, but the key piece that we're hearing is that the design should be more well integrated into the overall building design.
And be on the scale of the facade.
Yeah, and be more substantial.
And
Actually, I would say
the
that
size of it more substantial, because we did hear that the material could be lighter as well and not glazed.
I think the purpose of that being larger, I think it has two prongs to it. The one is to be a little bit more substantial, and the other is to extend over and be able to cut that large piece of metal into half or scale it down a
I
little
see.
bit or give it some sort of a scale.
I have a break in that
That's-
sight line.
Yeah.
Okay.
not so much roof.
To touch bases on the mechanical equipment, it is a code requirement to have that completely enclosed with walls, so we'll work out
that.
with that. With regards to the material down below the landscape planters at the front, I've had things from removing the corrugated metal and just a pour-in-place concrete, but then I heard something with stucco is also acceptable, perhaps a warmer.
Oh, precast. I think precast will be easier to.
Stucco was mentioned. Do you want to leave that as an option?
Sure.
Spoon plaster.
Smooth plaster.
Or cast in place.
I'm sorry.
Or
Or
cast in place.
place.
Those are all options.
Okay, and then my next comment was in regards to the landscape plan and the plant selection. I have a couple of suggestions that to provide a mid-height shrub along the The middle planter area?
Call
Yeah,
it.
that's-
Planter along the common open area.
Okay, and to remove some of the trees that are located near the area, I do have to keep in mind that the applicant is required to have, per the zoning code, a minimum of, I'm forgetting right now, I believe one tree for every 6 spaces. So
You could put trees in that planter if the roof was done such to that it could be open enough that it could
Okay.
have a tree. So
perhaps as a condition, I can have the applicant provide the landscape plan to show the trees at full maturity.
For 6?
So, step
Right,
by
and
myself.
the roofing was pulled back so that the tree could.
Yeah,
Be sustained.
you have like 20 spaces.
And again, I apologize that
for
Yeah,
trees.
they only need 4
Yeah, they
trees, so they can remove those 2 trees or make them a smaller species. Is that also an option?
Yes.
Yeah.
and that's all I have.
Got a motion?
The existing canopy to make it cleaner, the corner condition.
Widen the upper
You
canopy.
made it the upper portion.
just the top portion.
The top
I said that's
portion.
consideration.
Consideration?
Was there agreement on changing or modifying the material of that metal, corrugated metal? Because we did hear some comments that it would be nice to not have that corrugated metal or revise that. Do we not have agreement, or
That
do
was me.
I like it.
Okay,
I think it's repainted. I think it's fine.
okay.
And then with if they do a canopy there, it'll kind of go away. It won't be as noticeable, but it's in good condition, and I think it's, like you said, it's a monetary. It's also a reuse thing, so it'd be nice if they can keep
You
it.
have the pictures. How is it in a good condition?
Is there a motion? Can I get a motion on that?
I
Couple more?
have something, yeah.
Okay.
I think Mr. Malikian had mentioned about the, I don't know if this is the right term, the roof parapet, how it could maybe wrap around to give that.
That's what I was talking about.
Okay. Consideration, condition?
I mean, I agree with Alan, probably we should have them wrap it up to make it more
Yeah, I mean,
simplify.
you can see it here, I mean, you guys can refer to this, it's just like a piece of sheet metal that it's,
I mean, if they're not going to replace that whole thing, propose something different, then at least they could
Upgrade the design.
upgrade that, fill up that
Yeah.
portion, and make it more like a straight.
just one quick, going back to the replacement of the metal, and maybe the architect has an answer for that, because you got a lot of signage there. So once you remove those signage and you're keeping that
Damage.
corrugated metal, you got all these Swiss cheese holes and,
Yeah,
just all
the-
these.
There are a couple of other items that you should know. If there is more than one tenant space, they will be required to come back.
No, I'm
with-
not talking about proposed sign, I'm talking about
Okay.
existing signage. So by the time they remove all these, I mean, they're all individual letters, so they all have holes in it, and they have probably,
You have to repair them.
so, you can't.
Please,
can I-
if you make it quick,
before-
yeah. You make it quick.
Actually, we touched that corrugated metal. We have really big problems because very beginning I studied a lot, to remove that and put something else, because it was tied with that retrofit metal things. So if we're going to touch that one, it's easy to make a repair work than removing or cutting, making some kind of division. Especially that dome is coming all the way up with that.
Right.
Yeah, so it's
No, but what
attached
I'm talking
together.
about is how are you
So that
gonna,
holes we can repair. It's repairable.
how are you gonna repair?
Oh, well, there's a lot of way. I mean, they can make a patching and just, anyway, we will make a new painting of that corrugated metal.
Okay, well,
We good?
The main purpose we didn't touch that because it's creating really mass work. I mean,
well, maybe you can, the panels that have holes in it, maybe they can piece a sheet metal.
don't-
yeah,
top to
from the
bottom
back,
and just,
from the back they can put that metal and
Yeah.
make a nice,
Yeah.
like a
yeah. So
I don't know.
something-
I don't know if
body
that.
shop board. Yeah.
I don't know if that corrugated metal has. I don't think so. It has nothing to do with the main structure.
It's an add-on.
There was done a lot of retrofitting bolting with the dome.
Well, I understand the dome is independent.
No, it's not independent. They did some brackets.
Well, you have
Yeah.
the
Right,
have
but
the
the siding-
braces.
the siding is
well,
separate.
of course, you have 45 angle bracing to hold from moving, but has nothing to do with the integrity of the dome
They cover
structure.
up. They cover up all that brackets and boltings, which is they did retrofitted job.
Right, but the siding has nothing to do with the
Yeah, it's a
substructure.
I mean, they can make repair work, which is which.
Yeah, if I may, what I think
You
the
could remove
applicant
that
is what I think the applicant is referring to is the comment that Board Member Malikian made, where he asked to cut the center of that siding, and what happens when you start to cut.
I wasn't talking
Oh.
about cutting.
Oh, I must have misunderstood. I thought when we were talking about
Be an
the
applique. It could be an applique on it.
About the canopy you were talking about?
that it would make that it would split the. Oh, okay. We must have misunderstood.
It was just more of a, the impression that the canopy will leave when you attach something to the center, it will separate.
Okay, visually separate, not cut
actually
it.
cut
Yeah.
those sheets.
No.
Okay.
I'm not talking about.
So we understand you
Consider that.
We understand you have to have siding there, but the siding is independent of the structure that's below it.
No, I'm not talking about.
I
cutting
wish
it.
I had the very first design. Actually, I did stone veneer lower portion of that. So finally, we come up to this one. But the very original design was a
Yeah.
stone veneer. That,
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
So the additional conditions we have is to repair the holes the holes that the signage has made in the corrugated metal and repair that from the back rather than on the front. And as a consideration, to expose the additional steel on the front as a consideration.
Consideration.
Okay,
Consideration.
very good. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move to approve the project
I second.
with comments.
Okay, that was a motion made by Mr. Malekian and a second by Mr. Baladian. This will be roll call. Ms. Sakai?
Yes.
Mr. Zarifian?
Yes.
Mr. Baladian?
Yes.
Mr. Malekian?
Yes.
And Mr. Garagos?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, we are moving on to 2 PDR 2009-076-A, 2710 Hollister Terrace. Do you have a staff member for this?
It's him.
Oh, yeah, it's me. It's
Are you
me.
doing both?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's a lucky man.
Busy man.
do you get overtime for that or not?
I am hard. Okay, Mr. Chair, members of the Design Review Board, the next case item before you is case number 2-PDR 2009-071. Let me move this closer. This is a first-time submittal for final review. This project is located in the R1R residential zone. If I may orient the board on the submitted plans. This is the site plan, the proposed second-story plan, the first floor plan, roof plan, elevations and sections of the home, rendered perspective, and photographs of the area. On to the project summary. The project consists of constructing a new 233 square foot first floor addition and a 258 square foot second story floor addition, and remodel the front facade of the existing 2,318 square foot single family house on a lot that is 8,676 square feet. A 52 square foot addition to the two-car garage is also proposed for a total habitable floor area of 2,809 square feet. The site is located at the end of Hollister Terrace. There previously was a variance granting to allow the addition of floor area without providing the minimum driveway standard of 18 feet. That variance was granted.
And also, in addition to that, did not provide the minimum square footage of a 20 by 20 interior garage clearance. Variance was also granted at that. I believe a copy of the decision letter was placed in front of you prior to the meeting. On to staff's analysis. On to mass and scale. The overall location of the addition appears to be appropriate to the project site and neighborhood context. However, staff would recommend a landscape plan be provided to complement the new construction and to be more drought tolerant. Otherwise, the essential site plan access and parking remain unchanged. The proposal is a modest addition to the front facade of the property with modifications to the roof design and overall profile. I believe the best elevation to see that is right here. This will now be one whole facade. Currently, there is a split-level system as shown on the photographs. The perspective best demonstrates that the two proposed dormers will be recessed into this as outlined here in this elevation. The proposed design will be compromised of good quality materials and appropriate colors and details, which provides consistency throughout the residence. The proposal fits well within the surrounding neighborhood and as it pertains to architectural style and details. Staff recommends approval of this project with 3 conditions. Provide a new landscape plan to complement the new construction. Staff condition number 2 is to provide more consistency within the proposed window selection. And condition number 3 is to provide a high-quality garage door composed with painted wood or steel. Since the staff report has been made, the applicant has provided a landscape plan, which I have. However, note that staff has not reviewed the landscape plan. And the applicant has provided a detail of what the proposed door will look like. Before I end my presentation, I would like to voice one letter. I have a phone call in opposition of the project by name of Mike Martin, located at 2714 Hollister Terrace. Mike expressing he had view concerns, as well as he felt that the addition would cut out the sunlight and air to his backyard. So once again, Mike Martin of 2714 Hollister Terrace is in opposition. He's the neighbor directly to the north. Yes.
That's to the right or to the left? Okay.
So this would be this neighbor. Fortunately, he wasn't able to attend today. And then on the flip side, I do have a letter in favor of that from Mike Mohill, 2710 Hollister Terrace. Believes that they have done an excellent job and in remodeling and in keeping with the 25-foot setback. Just a side note that Hollister Terrace is currently undergoing some review of having a special setback ordinance along Hollister Terrace. The applicant was aware of the consideration of maintaining or imposing a 25-foot front setback. The code requirement for this zone allows the applicant to go up to 15 feet from the property line. The applicant was willing to anticipate the granting of the special setback ordinance and reduce the push back the addition to the 25-foot in good faith. 3 inches, yes. The applicant and homeowners are in the audience. That concludes my presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
The front windows are what?
I believe that is indicated yes. I can do.
And then the side one?
I see a combination of, yes, wood casement windows are indicated on the window schedule. You see some
Are all the windows being replaced?
Sorry?
All the windows are new or
No.
some existing?
There will be some existing windows to remain, yes. They're not going to be...
Some of them have grids, some of them they don't have grids. That's the...
There is, yes.
Side ones don't have.
mix.
It is, and as one of staff's condition, we condition that to provide more consistency within the proposed window selection. It's up to the board's discretion to see want an entire window change out or a compromise within the existing and proposed.
Any other questions for staff? Thank you very much. Okay, I have 3 cards. I'm going to make the assumption that June is going to speak first. So Ms. Velasco? Is that true or not? State your name and address, please.
June Veloso, 1968 South Sherborne Drive, Los Angeles, 034. I would just like to add that the proposed addition will vastly improve the look of the existing house, giving it a more distinct style rather than, the traditional minimalist style it gave. And in keeping with the neighborhood styles. That's it. And if you have any questions.
Any questions, Daniel? No? Okay, thank you very much. I have another card from Jeff Lacing. State your name and address. She was the...
Hi, I'm Jeff Lysing, and I'm the owner, and 2710 Hollister Terrace. I prepared a couple statements here. I wanted to first familiarize you with the objectives that we are attempting to accomplish here. There are about 3 or 4 of them. One of the major ones was we wanted to integrate the existing upper story in much better with the rest of the house. This second story addition was done about 2 decades ago, and we never liked it at the time. We were very disappointed. It just jumps out at you as being not a very well planned or integrated addition. It especially looks ugly from the curb view because you don't see any of the roof. All you see is this second story addition sticking up. The windows aren't matched with the rest of the windows. So those were 2 of our objectives, was to try to get a better integrated look and to improve the curb appeal. We also needed to, we had a very small dining room. You can barely get a dining room table in there, and a very small living room. So we also wanted to expand the size of the dining room, which is the addition on the left, and we basically were doubling the size of the dining room by doing that. And then we increased the size of the living room by bringing the living room out to include the current front porch. So we increased the size of the living room by about 50%. These are still small by normal standards, but they're livable. We also wanted to increase the size of the garage so we could get a second car in there. We were not able to go with a full standard 2-car garage because we were limited by a property line on one side, and it would have interfered if we moved further to the right. We expanded it 3 feet to within, I think it's 5 feet of the property line. If we'd come any further to the left, it would have interfered with the look of the house. We couldn't go back any further. It would have destroyed a den, which we have all finished in oak paneling, and but we're within a foot or so of the standard size, and it's plenty large enough to get 2 cars in. So it'll allow us to move one of our cars off the street and into the garage. Those were our primary objectives. I've spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to solve this problem. It wasn't an easy problem because of the fact it was on a hill, the fact that this addition was sticking up, and I spent about 10 years looking at other houses in other neighborhoods, looking through architectural digests and doing sketches. We actually had an architect group come out and do some sketches for us. And it really wasn't working. And then about 2 years ago, I teamed up with June, who's an architectural draftsman, and we put together 4 architectures, different architectures to solve the problems I mentioned. Some of them, they all would have solved the major problems, but some of them didn't have, they looked too massive. One of them, we came straight up in front to a second story. Some of them didn't have the curb appeal we were looking for, and some of them were just too expensive. So what we settled on was what you see up there. It's sort of like a Cape Cod style, very similar to a house that's right around the corner from us that we've admired for years. And actually, you'll see there behind you what the current house is. And what I call the ugly second floor addition. So one of the things, we did spend a lot of time as we came up with this design on the roof and the dormers. We wanted to be able to see more of the roof from the street, and so we actually extended the top and put a steeper pitch on the roof so you could see it. And we did not want the dormers sticking up above the ridge line. So we spent a lot of time in placing the dormers and actually decided on recessing them so that unless you're really right up under the house, the dormers don't appear above the ridge line. Let's see. I think June and I, my wife, we've been very sensitive to staff's recommendations, which we got a week ago off the website. They wanted to know what type of garage door. We hadn't really specified that, even though one of our neighbors was strongly advocating wood. I was, at that point, leaning towards vinyl, but I think we've decided we're going to go with a high-quality wood door, and it's a Dalton. It's a 4x4 panel Dalton wood door.
You can start wrapping it up, it'd be great. You have a certain amount of time. If you
Okay.
wrap it up.
All right, and landscaping. We didn't have we are, with the windows, we had put sills in on the aluminum windows. We had put trim around them so they would look like wooden windows. This is on the side for the new windows. But staff, I think, was recommending we go even a step further, which would be all wood, and we're willing to do that. We're willing to, even on the existing windows, which you can barely see from the front, we're willing to put wood trim around the outside of the existing windows to make it look like it's not just aluminum. Landscaping, we came up with a landscape plan. I think we're very sensitive to the drought recommendations, the drought-tolerant recommendations, but we also wanted something that sort of matched with a Cape Cod-style house. Therefore, we picked like a maple tree in the front. We wanted to see some grass, but we have drought-resistant ground cover on the right side of the driveway and in a major part of the slope in front of the house. And I might point out that we're already reducing the size of the lawn by a third just by the fact we're going to have larger walks, larger driveway, and we're coming out a few feet in front. Now, the last item has to do with coordination with the neighbors. We did talk to all our neighbors. Back when we were submitting the variance, we showed them pictures of all this, and we did get 18 neighbors to sign a statement that they were very much in favor of this. I had one neighbor who was against it, and you heard about him. Various times in the last 3 months, he's told me, first, he was afraid, he really wanted us to think of some kind of an architecture where we could turn the front yard into a cement driveway so we could move more cars off the street. He said he was planning on doing that. I even went and tried to lay out something and show it to him, but it was impossible to get into the garage. He also said he was afraid that if we increased the size of the house, it would sell it and a larger family would move in. And more recently, he's been talking about the sunlight. I will say that his house comes out further than ours, and we're not extending beyond his house. One or two of the windows, we'll see a little bit more of the side of our house instead of the roof of our house, but he still has a good view out front. That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have one other card. It is Zelma de Rodriguez. Say your name and address, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Zulema de Rodriguez, and I live at 2700 Hollister Terrace in Glendale, 91206. If we're facing Mr. and Mrs. Lysing's home, I'm the house directly to the right side of it. My family bought this house 25 years ago. It's been my home for the last 11 years, and almost the entire time I've lived there, I think the Lysings have been working on these plans. So they pay a tremendous amount of detail. They're very meticulous about the planning that's gone into this. I'd like to stress that throughout all of this, they've been incredibly sensitive to the requests and just sort of thoughts and opinions that the rest of the neighbors have had in regards to putting the plans together. They're very thoughtful, very warm people anyway, so I'm not surprised that they've done this. We've spent a lot of time talking about other houses that are in the the canyon, and we had some concerns about whether they would be too big. That was something that the Lysings wanted to stay away from, and so I'm surprised that anyone would really object to the plans that they're doing. They're modest plans. They're tasteful. They're aesthetically pleasing. I don't see how they interfere with any of the anything that's going on next door. Throughout this time, again, these plans have been probably, I would guesstimate maybe 10 years they've been working on them, and they've included all of our neighbors throughout this entire process to get their opinions and their thoughts on the matter. I'm glad to see that one of the cars will now have room to be parked in the driveway, because if you're familiar with the end of the cul-de-sac, there isn't much parking. It's a red zone right in front of our house and directly across the street, so parking is very limited, and it'll be nice to see that we can get one more car off the driveway. But overall, the plans are subtle, they're tasteful, they look like they belong in the canyon, in our cul-de-sac. It's, in my opinion, a couple of the houses that have been added on to in the area. They look so large, they look massive and just out of place, and that's not what I think that Mr. and Mrs. Lysing are after here. My only thought is with regards to the landscaping. I'm not sure that drought-resistant, anything that's put in there would actually go with the style of the house, because it's more Cape Cod than anything. So I'm a little concerned about how that would look. It's such a small area. I'd really like to see the lawn that's in place now be there after the fact. All of the houses on our street have these lawns, and it looks like it flows. Everything looks like it goes nicely. So I'm in full support of this. They've continually checked with our family, our neighbors all around us, and no one else objects to this. So I'm happy to see that we're at this point in the meeting, and all of these plans will hopefully come to fruition soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This the last card. Anybody else want to speak on this topic? With that, we'll close the public hearing. Who wants to start?
A question for
Gabriel.
Gabriel, have they checked the 50% demolition?
Yes, we did at the variance time. A calculation was brought to me, verified by the Building and Safety Department, to see that 50% was not being demolished.
Okay. Who'd like to start?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. The applicant did submit a landscape plan. Would you like to see what the board can?
If you could put it up. Sure.
Okay.
How about the height? What is the height in this area?
I will get that to you.
It's 32 feet,
32 feet?
plus you get 3 for a pitched roof.
Thanks, Howard.
While he's putting that up, who would like to start?
I can start.
You start? Go ahead.
Yeah, I think your hard work really shows up in your plans. It looks, I think, it's a very modest, as you said, and some of the presenters said, it's a very modest and nice addition. I think it really enhances the quality of the house and makes it a much better looking house. I think the windows, if they look like some of the front windows are new anyway, and by trying to unify the rest of the windows by putting frames around them, I think that would be good enough, in my opinion, to really tie the house together. As far as the neighbor, with the comment of cutting down the light in their house, I'm looking at the trees. The trees are twice as tall as the house, so I think the shadow that the house will add probably is negligible. So I can't imagine how it can affect the quality of the light in the neighbor's house. I haven't seen the landscape plan, but I'll let Ms. Sakai look at it, but I tend to approve the project with no comments.
Okay. Go next.
I think it's a great improvement of what you've done from the pictures. And I have a few comments. I agree with the windows. I think you're going this 10 years, you're spending all this energy and all that. I think it'll be shame having two types of windows design. I think you should go all over, I think it will be a better project, more complete. And then, rather than be sorry at the end, I wish I had replaced those windows at that time. I think you should do it now. At first, I think I kind of got nervous when I first looked at that flat roof you had on top. Kind of made me nervous. I said, I'm not for it, but by looking at the old, what you have and what you're proposing, I think it's a good solution. I mean, it's going to improve the house. It's not my favorite, but it works for this in this case. Another thing that I don't know, my colleagues will talk about it, is the existing fireplace, the tower. It looks like a Empire State hanging there now, but somehow to attach it, it looks like it's still detached from the structure. Maybe somehow going that extreme, maybe fill it up, fake filling, something to attach to the structure, to the house. Or I don't know if that brick, I mean, it looks fine, or maybe have another as a consideration to blend it in with the house to make it more, it will look more complete as a consideration. I mean, we'll talk about it. But otherwise, I'm pro the project. I mean, it's a great improvement. I think I don't have any problem. That's it.
Nick?
I like the project. I'm okay.
Okay. That's it. Mrs. Hine?
Back to the landscape plan. So I do like the project. I went out to see the project. I was kind of concerned with the elevation showing the high roof line and the front elevation, and it's kind of scary looking. But when you go out there, you don't see that. You don't sense that. So I think it's nice that the flags are up and you get the dormers are framed out and you get to see what it's going to look like. And I think that will look nice. So I'm pleased to see that is all done in consideration of this meeting, that we can go out there and visualize it a lot easier. Looking at, well, I did have one concern with the plan was the entryway. It seems to me it feels too far forward, because when you come up the stairs, you're going to hit this door, and then you go around the door to get to the porch, and it feels like the door entry space is just kind of too squished, like you want it maybe wider or pushed back a little bit to give it more breathing room, so if it gets to the top of the stairs, you have a little bit more sense of a space that you can stand and wait for someone to open the door and let you in. And once you get inside, that you're not just in this little hallway that then opens up into this big living room space. So I'm not sure if that's, I guess it's not really a concern. Other people didn't really feel that way, but I had that impression.
It's a good impression. It's a good impression.
It's a good impression. And I also have I also noticed the fireplace sort of standing out there by itself. Empire State.
They're not going to be able to get that approved with the building inspection.
Yeah, I don't know about.
There'll be an attachment. There will be.
You have to attach that somehow. So that did stand
Especially
out.
they're adding a portion on top of it.
I think
need to.
There'll be an
talk to the
attachment.
building
There'll be an
inspector.
attachment.
I'm also in favor of the wood trim around the existing windows, and then doing the wood windows all the way around. I think it'll add depth and dimension to the whole project. And also, when you consider that, you might want to look at some of your attic vents where they touch. I know you did rectangles all over. Some of them seem very close to the roof lines, and where they might be in conflict with the roof line, to look at maybe a different shape to kind of change it up to kind of dress the architecture. Again, your house it's going to look so nice. You want to make sure all the details are there. So just these little things really add to it. So going along with that, in the planting plan. You're trying to achieve a Cape Cod look and feel, and also be sensitive to the drought-tolerant California palate. I think that you could do a lot better than what you've proposed, because I feel that there's a lot of sweet kind of greenery, lush-looking plants that are water-wise, and they're on the website. I would recommend using a viburnum instead of the natal plum. I think it's just plants that are softer and not so tropical, glossy, stiff. You want to go with that route. You want to go with like you said, the Cape Cod look. I don't know about the maple tree. It may be okay there with your light conditions and the amount of heat. I would recommend maybe a jacaranda if you can't if it doesn't, did you take one out?
We had one until yesterday.
Oh.
Figured it didn't go with a Cape Cod.
Oh, I think, well, it's nice and open and airy, and it has a beautiful purple flower, so I don't know why you don't like it. Sycamores are nice. There's a lot of trees that I think you have that open, airy structure. It's also kind of help block your neighbor, and maybe he'll feel that it's less of an addition and less of a nuisance if he has a nice greenery to look at.
So you think a jacaranda would go with a Cape Cod? That was
Yeah, I can't take question. But yeah, so that would be my suggestion. And then you can add some more cercis. Cercis is a smaller tree, but that would kind of give you some more height in your planting areas to kind of just soften the building. So those are some of my suggestions. In the front, instead of the gazania, you could do like artemisia, you could do irises or some native irises. I would also just kind of mix in more plants. Cape Cod's a little bit more like sweet kind of planting. So to do like masses of hot colors and glossy leaves, doesn't say Cape Cod to me. That's about it.
Okay, thank you. I do have the same concern. I know many times you want to add some kind of entry to you never want to walk right into the living room, but I understand that. I do think it is a little awkward how that's done, and I think you actually don't really have much space because by the time you open the door, you're sort of standing in the living room. So I would really question that, and if everybody would go along with something on that. But I think that is a little bit of an issue. I think that it diminishes how the front looks, especially the porch. Excuse me. The other thing I have a little bit of problem with the south elevation. I know that's the way you decided to do the roof form. I think there might have been other ways you could have done it. But I think one of the ways that it could be minimized, in addition to the chimney, is that I'm not sure why, when you upgraded other roof forms, you didn't redo the one over the study. So I would like to see the study get a gable that comes out to the side, and I think that would help kind of minimize the effect of what you're doing on the south elevation, of kind of block the visual towards that. Because I think it really sort of falls down on that side of the house. You can see it on the elevation that you're not sort of carrying through all the nice things you're doing over on that side. So I think that's, I'd like to see that, because the pitch would be raised, and like I said, it would help minimize how your roof forms are happening on that side. So I would like to see that happen. Other than that, I think it's nicely done, and I think the drawings are well prepared, so very nice. Somebody wants to list?
Yes. Okay, I would like to go over some of the conditions. Most of them were in favor. Mr. Kiesel, is it a zoning code requirement that all of the proposed landscaping needs to be drought tolerant? I believe that is a zoning code requirement versus an option.
It's a municipal code requirement.
Okay. Just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah, but to add to that, there are some grasses. St. Augustine is a grass that's on the waterwise.com website, and as Ms. Sakai was noting, there are a number of plants, including the jacaranda, that would be appropriate for that style of house.
Thank you.
We also have a no-mow lawn if you don't use the lawn for playing on it or anything. There's a no-mow lawn that can be a nice look. It's a nice lush green look, and that's also on the list.
Okay, so I have comments in regards to the landscape plan. Additional comments concerning the window selection throughout. The board was, perhaps Mr. Belladian would like to clarify whether he would like to enforce that as a consideration or a condition regarding the matching of windows and the consistency of windows. Right now, staff has it as a condition of providing more consistency. Is that something that you would like?
Condition.
Do we have agreement?
When you talk about the windows.
One second.
Do we have agreement on that point? Because we did hear some differing views on that.
Well, I felt that the windows should all match in style, but it was okay to keep I think they were going to do wood trim around the existing metal windows. I don't
You
know
want
if
to
that
treat it
was-
by facade, whereby
Yeah,
the front elevation side?
I usually kind of try to make these kind of global changes to a house a consideration, because under the economic situation, I will be kind of shying away from telling someone change all of your windows. So I like to make it a consideration rather than, because there are other ways to unify the windows.
Yeah, but I agree with you, but some elevation, that's like the north elevation, he's using both of them. I mean, he was...
What's the back of the house?
whole argument was, you don't want to look like an addition, you want to look like a complete project.
Yeah.
Once you do that two types of windows, then it becomes a addition.
No, I mean, you can expect the sides to have, the sides of a building to be treated differently, so there could be that way of looking at it. That's what I'm saying.
How about the back?
Maybe the back and maybe the two frontal sides and the back side. They become more frontal. These are kind of sides that you're not so aware of it.
If I would be a little bit less, I mean, I would maybe do the back to match the front, the west and east elevation.
You're not really
West
seeing
and
the two
east,
together.
make it.
The back.
No, I mean, you see the back.
No one's gonna
You're not going to see the two
back, 'cause
together.
It's a hillside.
Yeah, but it's not. It's about the hillside. It's like when it's your house. When you have guests coming, they're
Well, yeah.
coming in, and then you go to the
If it
back. I mean,
If it was my house, I'd want
Make it a
nice
consideration,
windows,
but it is-
I would
It needs
look.
to
I
be
mean,
done
if I'm
in
going
the
to go to the back side, I mean, I would like to see some kind of uniformity of windows. Alan, what
Well,
do
in the
you?
past, what we've done is we've extended the uniformity up to the point that it's visible from the public. That's what we've done in the past, so if you want to add the back, it's going to be your condition, so. But that's what we've been mainly concerned about.
The
Most
front?
of
The
The
front.
front and the sides, that if they're consistent,
Visible.
at least it's visible from the public, then we want to make that consistent. That's what we've done in the past. So, and most of the
These are-
work is being done in the front, so, keeping the front,
I think you would see those ones he's
the
adding.
back will be mostly their problem when they have their guests.
It looks like the new windows that they're adding are the ones that would be visible. So
If it's
I think
as
you
long
could-
as they're consistent and visible, then
I think the new ones they're adding are the ones that are visible. So if those
Well,
are
if you want to
consistent.
make it as a
Well, they're adding aluminum on the side, upper floor. No. Just aluminum on the
Yeah, see, I think if it's the one that's are added are consistent, then I think it would be fine. It's the front and the upper sides. Those are what's visible. We good with that? Okay.
F and G.
Mr. Valani, I could condition one of staff's conditions to provide more consistency within the proposed window selection from visible areas to the street. Would that be sufficient?
Yeah, I think that we would like a little bit more specific direction because
Because all the windows on the second floor is indicating it's all aluminum.
that's right. So then it appears that all of the windows that are shown as new windows appear to my eye to be the ones that will be visible.
Right. F, E, F, and G.
Right.
So if you did, those are...
Yeah, the
What?
the Fs, E, F, G are aluminum windows, and I guess you have the choice if you want all of the windows on the second floor to be consistent, or the windows on the new windows to be consistent with the new windows in the front, then they would be wood.
What are the type of windows they're introducing, the new ones? Gabriel, what type of windows they're...
At the front facade?
They're double hung.
They're all over, but
Casement.
I guess the ground floor, they're all wood, and the second floor, they're all aluminum.
Yeah, I think if
I
it's
think,
just,
I mean,
the E, F, and G are the ones that are new and those are visible. If those just match the ones in
Well,
front.
no, I mean, all the ground floor is being pulled out, so they're all new too, so they're
But those are already wood. Those are shown as wood.
I think you're going to see the
already
difference
shown.
between the aluminum and the
No, I
wood.
agree.
I don't think it's going to look right.
I think we should make it all
Condition.
wood, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Of the new windows. Of the new windows.
Oh, and
Right?
the existing...
The entire house?
The ground floor, all the ground floor windows that they're putting in, they're showing the new ones
as
the ground
wood.
floor, they're showing it as wood.
The new ones, the new
New
ones.
ones.
Right. So I'm
And then the
saying,
new ones on the second floor, they're showing it as aluminum.
right, that's what I'm saying.
no, it
If
should
all
be
the
the
new
same.
windows on both floors
Right.
were
Right.
consistent,
Yes.
those are the windows that you would see from the street.
Exactly.
So any new windows they're doing, if they're all wood, they would be consistent.
Exactly.
That's my point. That's
So you
my
have to make sure that the window schedule,
Yeah, it's just A through G. It's A through G.
Yeah.
That's what he's showing.
And then, not to belabor the point, but those windows on the side are shown as sliders. Should they be
I mean, it's
different configuration rather than wood
I think
sliders?
it's, I mean, I'm fine. I'm not gonna, but I still think, in my opinion, I mean, it's gonna look weird, the aluminum versus the wood. I don't know. Within the time they're gonna replace those windows, I have a feeling.
Well, I think they also have to have the grids like the rest.
It'll be better. I mean, there's no question it will be better.
I think so too. I mean, if you're going the extent, that's why I made the comment. If you're going all this extent to do this whole work, I mean,
I think you can leave that as a consideration. I mean, but I think the items that are being added, or that are visible, those should be consistent. And they should have common sticking, so the muttons would be the same as the other dividers.
well,
Do you want G to match D?
Toward the end, I'll give you a chance. 1 second. 1 second. What else did you have?
Okay. Okay, the front entryway to reduce the
Intrusion into a porch?
Correct, the intrusion into the porch. Was that something more of a consideration?
I think it's unfortunate because they're doing such a great job.
Yeah, I think. Let me say that I kind of noticed, it caught my eye, but in my comments I forgot to mention the porch next to the entry, sort of little vestibule that comes out. It might feel kind of how should I say a dead space, because there's not a good kind of it doesn't become part of the entry experience. So if you push that volume back, you'll have a much better. So I tend to agree with that comment.
Flush with the front of the house, or
maybe if the designer's concern was having to avoid that, having that entrance door opening into the living room, I could see their point. But I agree with you, because that space nobody going to occupy it. It's
Well,
so tight. But the thing is, to resolve that, maybe that's I don't know how much.
We're not supposed to talk about interior floor plans, but
No, I mean,
there's an element here that's coming in, and this is already being expanded. So if you took that line and you let that be like a bay almost, and the door could then pull out just a little bit if it wanted to, you would have an indent, but the door would only come out maybe a foot.
How about if you pull the back? How
You already have this element coming out here. You could create almost a bay and then pull in for the door.
I don't know how about if they make
Can't
it
talk about
cleaner?
interior floor.
Well, no, I mean it's part of the. I mean suggestion. I mean if they bring this wall out and then bring the door back and make it cleaner.
They
That's
already,
that point.
I don't think they'd make it bigger. I just think that we kind of pull back, but they could treat the internal. I think there's a way of making a entry there without having it be a full push out. So, what do you think?
I think this is simple wall across would be the. But we'll leave it to the.
And then put the door out that way and the window here.
Rather than changing the floor plan or the building or anything, I think they've thought about how they want to come into the entry point. I think to
You wanna give
solve
them that
the porch, just move that railing out to be
Yeah.
flush with the staircase and make it a larger porch and we call it a day. So I think get a little bit more substantial porch there, and I think they'll
Be
have
on the
their
roof.
entrance, and so
You'd be on the roof.
But I still think this is very narrow, and you want to make this wider to make that, you open the door and
You're
not all
designing.
just coming in.
I mean,
Well, I think we can make the suggestion that the front porch. I do like the idea of the porch coming out, so we'll leave that as a consideration then, I guess.
Pull the porch, that railing out, maybe will help.
Yeah, if it remains, I think the owner has realized that there are things that you can do to improve it. So there are many suggestions you can take, whichever.
Okay, so what we have is revise the entry area by either pulling the porch out to make the porch more generous or moving the entry in back towards the house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fabulous. And then on the windows, I think we have a consensus. Did we also want some trim around all the windows? That's something that we heard. No, yes, no, maybe.
If they're trying the style, they should have trim.
Okay, so trim around all the windows, but only those new windows should be wood with a similar configuration, mutton pattern, etc.
Yes.
And then we have the landscape.
But the roof, though, over the den.
Yes, that was my next comment, Mr. Gargos. The study. The flat comments regarding this flat roof over the study.
Mm-hmm. I think it should be a side gable. I really think it would be. It would help, and it would help minimize the visual up that whole side.
Gabe, if that were to change, does that change their 50%?
You're saying this goes up.
Calculation? Okay, so Mr. Gregos, if that is a condition, we would need to stipulate that only if that remains within...
California, it can be California'd over the existing roof, which wouldn't have to do with the 50%. You could add it to the roof structure. Leave the roof structure and add a gable on top.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you want
yeah, as long as it's not, because you understand that if the framing is abandoned in place and not supporting anything, then it also doesn't count. So.
Well, it would be supporting the new gable.
Right. Gotcha.
Abandoned, what was that again? Being abandoned, but...
If there's existing roof structure, there's a new roof structure over that is not supported by the existing roof structure, yeah.
I think it's important. I really do. I think it's that side of the house needs
You don't see it.
emphasis.
You don't see it.
Do we have agreement on that point?
I think it's important. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we
Condition.
have?
A condition.
Yeah.
A condition. And
Anything else?
a gable.
I know I didn't have a comment. I just want to give a suggestion and something for the homeowner. I think you guys need to take these plans to the building department and have them look at. There's a lot of code issues that I see, such as fire access exiting from the bedroom number 2. You got fireplace, you got handrails that are not legal anymore, and so forth. So by the time you're done, you may end up seeing that there's a lot of code issues there that you have, which I don't think it's going to affect the design. That's just a friendly advice.
Okay.
In
with
regards,
that-
in regards to the chimney, would the board condition a better integration with the regards to the freestanding chimney, or?
Well, the freestanding chimney is a brick chimney, and they're adding 30 inches or whatever on top of it. They're not
It's
going
gonna
to
have to
be
be
able to
attached.
attach. They're going to have to attach it. They're not
So
gonna-
we'll say bring the chimney back to meet the wall of the house.
they
And
can do that. That's the thing.
If they can do that.
if they can do that. Otherwise, it needs to be tied back to the house in any case.
Building and safety is going to require some bracing. Or some
Right. But it can remain brick. You're not recommending that it's stucco. Okay. So just, and we'll put in a catch-all to verify with the building department, and as long as there aren't any major design changes.
Sure, I'll do that. Along with the 50% calculation, I would like that as well. Is that-
Yep.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
And then for the landscape, we'll just put a general phrasing, all landscape plants to be from the bewaterwise.com list, and to aesthetically match the Cape Cod style of house. We can also provide, we have all your very specific suggestions down. We can provide them separately from the
That's fine.
conditions.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve the project with the conditions and considerations.
Second.
Second by Mr. Zarifian. This would be roll call. Ms. Sakai.
Yes.
Mr. Zarifian.
Yes.
Mr. Baladian.
Yes.
Mr. Malekian.
Yes.
And Mr. Garagos.
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
I had a question.
Sure, ask your question.
Can you?
Come forward.
Yeah, I didn't understand whether or not you're asking me to change. First of all, the windows that we have on the first floor on the south side are already wood. I mean, they're very expensive wood windows.
You won't have to change those.
But I'm asking you, did you say something about the windows in the back of the house, which you can't possibly see?
All we're saying is all the windows you're proposing to add need to be consistent with the front.
Which
That's all.
means
Wood.
we are, all the windows we're adding are going to be wood. We'll
And
do
that's
that.
not what your window schedule says.
I know.
So you're clarifying the window
But in
schedule.
my opening statement, I said we were sensitive.
Just
to
merely, we need to have paperwork that is
right,
consistent,
fine.
that's all.
And,
Thank you.
okay, the gable, I didn't quite understand. The gable
Comes
is
to the side.
on that second, it's the gate, you're going to see the gable from the side. It's
Right.
not from the front you're going to see it.
Right.
What is the front going to look like? It's
You'll see more roof. You'll see roof.
just roof.
The roof and it'll be gable to the side.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay. We
We have
have
3 sets of minutes.
three sets
to
of minutes.
get.
Everybody read their minutes? We can start with March 25th. It looks like everybody but Ms. Sakai can vote on it. Whoever's prepared to do a motion,
I'm okay with May 6th.
You're okay with May 6th? Do you want to make a motion?
do I have a second?
Motion to approve May 6th.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion was made to approve the minutes of May 6, 2010. This will be a roll call. Mr. Malikian.
Yes.
Mr. Baladian.
Yes.
Ms. Sakai.
Absent?
Mr. Zarifian.
Absent. I think I was
you were
absent.
Oh, okay.
You were here. You were here. Oh, March 25th.
No. It's
May 6th.
Whoa. I said March 25th. Hello.
I'm sorry, I was ready for May 6th.
Yeah.
March
more
20th. Let's
exciting
go in
for me.
order. Let's go.
There's already a motion.
so,
Just read May 6th.
May 6th, okay.
so absent.
Okay, Mr. Garros.
Are we approving the, I'm joking. Okay, yes. I
Okay.
won't tease you.
Or you cannot.
Okay. Do you want to go completely backwards now, or what? Okay, well,
Whatever
now-
you wish.
No,
You're
we'll
the
go
boss.
backwards. We'll go
You're the
April
boss.
22nd. We're doing the contrary,
You're the boss.
it's a contrary universe. April 22nd. Who would like to make a motion?
That's fine. Motion to approve the minutes without any corrections? Any corrections?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, a motion was made to approve the minutes of April 22nd. Roll call. Ms. Sakai.
Yes.
Mr. Baladian.
Yes.
Mr. Malikian.
Abstain.
Mr. Zarifian.
Abstain.
Abstain. I was absent.
I was absent, I guess.
Oh, okay, okay.
Mr. Garagos.
Yes.
April 22nd.
Who was here?
You were here.
No, I wasn't.
April
It says you were here.
22nd? Says you were here?
I wasn't here one of these days.
April 22nd. says you're here.
Oh,
Is this
well,
wrong? Shoot.
Okay, I guess I'm okay.
Okay, we have
But you'll
one more
still
set of
abstain.
minutes.
All right, moving on to March 25th, since we're going
You
in.
know what? I was going back
Contrary.
because I can't because half of it I wasn't here. That's why.
Yeah, you did leave early.
Everyone should have listened to your chairman when I said the date.
Halfway through, I left. So
Just for the
I was
last
right.
one?
You're confusing me. I know.
March 25th. Has anybody reviewed March 25th?
Yeah.
Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
I'll move to approve the minute.
Is there a second? Second?
Yes.
Motion was made to approve the minutes of March 25th. This will be a roll call. Mr. Malikian.
Yes.
Mr. Zarifian.
Yes.
Mr. Baladian.
Yes.
Sakai.
Absent.
And Mr. Garros?
Yes.
Thank you.
Bingo.
All right, I do not have any announcements.
Other than I'm not going to be here the following week, so
Shall we return this to you? The one that's...
Sure.
Leave everything on the table you don't need.
June calendar.
Oh, good question. Don't know.
Did I need a motion for that?
You have to say your return.
We're adjourned.
Well, you didn't